In the previous tutorial, we learned how to set up our developer tab, how to record macros, and how to run macros. A quick overview of that is, again, we record by clicking on this bottom left button, and you name your macro and hit OK, and you record what you do. And then to run it, you would go to your macros and you would click Run. Well, let's say we wanted to edit that macro or take a look at the code. How do we do that? If you look on the top left, it says Visual Basic, and then if you highlight over it, it'll say Visual Basic Alt plus F11. I'm used to the shortcut keys, so I'm going to press Alt F11, but you can also just click on that icon. And it should pull up something similar to this. This might not appear right away. This is your navigation pane on the left-hand side. This is called the Microsoft Visual Basic for Applications Editor, or some people might call it an IDE, Integrated Development Environment. You'll see a bunch of tick marks here that might be closed. You want to expand them. And the one that we saved was under Personal XLSB, so let's look under that. If you haven't saved one yet, you might want to check out the previous tutorial. So under Module 1 is where it was saved. If we click on Module 1, it's going to open up this particular text box with some code in there. Instead of calling it Module 1, we can name it something a little bit more user-friendly over here in the Properties area, where it says Module 1. Let's make this one called Beautify. That way, everything that makes your Excel more pretty or user-friendly can be under this module. You can have multiple modules. You can actually right-click and say Insert Module, and you can do this over and over again. It doesn't matter. But you want to kind of keep things that are common together. Now inside this module you have something called your subs. It says sub column autosave. That's the same name as what we used when we created our macro. So it actually created this for us, and it ends where it says end sub. Anything between sub and end sub is all the same macro. Okay, so it put these single quotes here. That actually means that it's a comment and nothing is actually being executed there. So if you want to add things in here like this was my first macro, and you can add more, and you can put an author, you know. The author is Mark G. I created this. So it's just a little heads up. Now here's the actual code. Here's what we actually did. When we double clicked on those bars between columns A and B and C and whatnot, it actually did the entire column to autofit. You don't have to understand everything that's going on, but you can kind of get an idea of what the pattern is. So if we wanted to autofit, say, between H and I, what would you do? You can copy this, Control C, and you can add another one and just put in I. This is the manual way to do things. Now as you grow and learn VBA code, it's not going to be just, you know, copy paste, and we don't really know what's going on. But this is a good way to get your feet wet. Now you see here on HH I have a duplicate, and this one says column width equals 6.29. Well, I was actually scrolling a little bit like this, and it recorded that. I don't want to do that. And don't forget, these happen in order. First it'll do column A, then B, then C, and then it does column width, and I accidentally scrolled a little bit when I was holding down the mouse button. I don't want to do that. That's a waste of precious CPU cycles. So delete that. I don't want to do that. I wanted to auto-fit it only. And then remember in the first video I said I'm going to scroll, and I just wanted to show you that everything is recorded. I really don't care about scrolling, but you might want to scroll back to the very beginning of your, A1 if you have a lot of data, so that when the next user uses this, it shows up as A1 and not, F3275. So you might want to scroll to some particular place. But a different way to do that would be to actually just click on A1. But anyways, we don't need that either. So I wanted to show you where you would go to get to this code and where you can edit it. There's a lot to be done within this, but we're going to keep these short. So you can rename your modules. You can also rename your actual macros. You can call this column new size instead. It doesn't matter. And then we can save it. And if I close it, we go back to run our macros. I click on macros, and look, it says column new size instead. So that's it for this tutorial, and stand by for the next one, and I hope this helped you out.